Welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss, and in today's episode, 270 medical experts signed an open letter to Spotify to further the censorship and control of the message to censor Joe Rogan from getting the message into a conversation out there. By the way, again, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and smash on that subscribe button. Your subscriptions go a long way with allowing me to put out more content. And don't forget to interact on this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. So I have the open letter from the 270 medical experts that they sent out to Spotify in another attempt to, again, control the narrative as if they don't already control or monopolize all of the media spaces, whether you're talking about CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, yes, Fox News, and or other Fox affiliates, social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, even the YouTube censor the conversation to the point where a lot of creators are finding themselves self-censoring themselves on their videos just to avoid getting downplayed on the algorithm for a lot of their videos. So what this open letter was trying to do or prove to do is further the illusion that anyone who disagrees with the official narrative put out by mainstream media is somehow on the fringe. This has allowed a lot of people on the left to follow what they're told because all they see in the news, in media, and in social media, the official narrative allowed to be said, and anything that is challenged gets censored and or not even covered. And there was a big thing early on in the pandemic that said, are you going to listen to your high school friends on Facebook, or are you going to listen to the medical experts? And it's easy to make that claim when the only experts that you're allowed to hear are those who fall in line with the official narrative. But they lost the narrative the second that they started censoring medical experts, doctors, physicians, immunologists, virologists, epidemiologists, who all disagreed and or strayed from the narrative. And Dr. Malone is the latest example. And I think this frightens them the most because unlike other prominent YouTubers who do try to have real conversations about what's going on and present all sides, not just what you hear in the mainstream media, whether that was Kim Iverson, Tim Pool, to name a few, they all find themselves not only having to self-censor themselves, but at the mercy of the YouTubes and social media. And even though people like Tim Pool and or Steven Crowder also have their separate sites and their programs to allow them to still put out their content without that censorship, it doesn't have the same clout as they would on YouTube's. Whereas Joe Rogan was smart enough to get out of the YouTube to avoid things like this and go onto Spotify and put his message out there. The man has the highest podcast in the world, most viewed, getting far more coverage than even CNN, MSNBC, and ABC combined in a lot of respects, and even beating Fox News for that matter. Because they can silence all of the other voices or try to diminish the other voices, like the Crowders, Tim Pools, Kim Iversons of the sort, they can't silence this guy because he has too big of a reach. So they're trying to silence him through Spotify. The idea, too, by getting 270 medical experts to try to censor is to make it seem as though there is some universal consensus among the medical community, which, I mean, it's true from the people that you hear, much like how Galileo was against the entire establishment at the time, stating that the earth was not the center of the universe. We see how that worked out. One of the things that made science so special, though, is that science was meant to be debated. If you can't question something but go off of faith, facts, and fear, that's religion for the most part. Not to disrespect anyone's faith, but that's the idea of faith, is believing without proof and or limiting how much you are allowed to question about said belief. Whereas science was always meant to be observable, testable, repeatable, questioned, challenged, all and discussions being held. But they're doing their best to shut down the consenting or dissenting views, facts, and or opinions. Here's another example, and this was coming off of the heels of his historic podcast with Dr. Robert Malone, who, by the way, is one of the inventors and or founders of the mRNA technology that produced the current jabs that we have. Don't believe me? Look at these patents that he created going back to 2004, 2000, 1996, 95, as it pertains to DNA sequencing in species, and they're using that for immune responses, 1995, again, 94. And when you look at the other names, sure, he's not the only person listed on these patents and was not the only one, but you can see that he was not only on the ground floor with this, but there aren't a whole lot of other contributors to this, or at least to some of these patents, especially with the earliest one. It's just really him, Dr. Michael Bennett, and Michael Nams. And then going forward, the names start to increase a little bit more. You'll see like a Philip Wagner, John A. Wolfe, Gary Rhodes, and they start to he continues to work with some of these, but it's just among him and 4 or 5 other scientists. So out of all of the people who should have an ability to speak on the jabs and the mRNA technology being used for it and the efficacy and what's going on, it should be him. He should be allowed to have a voice, definitely more so than these 270 medical experts who are trying to silence him without even actually combating anything he actually said specifically, by debating any particular points he made. They're not even attempting to do that. Just say that we disagree, provide no proof as to why he's wrong. And then when you look at the barely 270 people they were able to get, okay, you have some medical resident, a physician, a nurse practitioner. This isn't even a doctor. More nurse practitioners, microbiologists, okay, cool. A professor, more. So they couldn't even get too many medical doctors on here, and or immunologists, biologists. There's a few psychiatrists, I believe I've seen on here. Yeah, psychologists, a pediatrician. Okay, cool. But there are a lot of nurse practitioners and or physician assistants. These are people who have gone through medical training, many years of schooling, but never got their actual PhD to practice as a physician. These are a lot of people who you see either working under the assistance or the thumb of an actual practicing medical physician, family practitioner, general practitioner, internist or internal medicine provider, pediatrician, but not on their own, or if they are on their own, you'll see them in an urgent care center, but these are not doctors. But in order to fill out that number, they sure are getting a lot of, professors, even an assistant professor at that. She has a PhD, but when was the last time she practiced? An ICU nurse. Okay, cool. You're a nurse. Shout out to your experience and expertise, but I'm pretty certain that you don't have the knowledge and or expertise in mRNA technology that Dr. Robert Malone has. But I'm using this to say this. They want you to think that Dr. Robert Malone is French. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There's a unified front. There's that conspiracy. However, what they don't tell you is way back during the early days of the pandemic, for instance, over 750 medical doctors, not nurse practitioners, not physician assistants, or not ER nurses, medical doctors in Belgium did an open letter. 750 medical doctors, as well as, and this is where you now would include the nurse practitioners or physician assistants, 2,831 medically trained health professionals, as well as over 21,000 regular citizens. But again, I digress. That's nearly 3,500 medical professionals in Belgium in September of 2020. 750 doctors. That's more than 3 times as many medical experts. That wasn't even all doctors that signed the open letter to Spotify, let alone a percentage, barely a fraction of the number of medically trained professionals. These were people who were openly opposed to the measures taken by many prominent health physicians and or those in the medical community that were getting the loudest voice and or the ear of the politicians around the world. They were big time against what was going on, and they signed this open letter saying we need to rethink these strategies that were adopted by the World Health Organization, the WHO, among other things. Not to mention, and this you can find on the America's Frontline Doctors website, among others, over 10,000 medical experts signed and or were taking part in legal proceedings against the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the Davos Group for crimes against humanity, as well as what they felt as though violations of the Nuremberg Agreement, which, yes, includes what they feel as though misinformation about and or misapplication and or coercion against the jab. 10,000 medical experts. I'm not saying that these 10,000 medical experts and or these 750 medical doctors and or 2831 medically trained professionals, due to the numbers, are better and or superior to the 270 doctors, psychiatrists, nurses, and all that from the open letter. What I'm saying is that there is no universal consensus, that there is, and as it always should be in science, an open debate that people should be allowed to have. But what's getting very dangerous is that they're trying to silence any dissenting voices, discussions, and or sharing of facts and information, because when you can control what the people know, see, read, or hear, you can control what they think, how they act, and or what you're able to do. But I just wanted to share that. I'll be more than glad to share these links in the description box below. Feel free to check them out so that you can combat whenever someone says, well, all of these 750 medical experts are in disagreement with the Joe Rogan podcast. You can come back and say, well, what about these 750 medical doctors in Belgium that were in agreement with a lot of what you may hear on Joe Rogan's podcast? What about these 10,000 doctors that filed a lawsuit for violations of the Nuremberg Code? Are all of these people fringe? Is the science really that settled? And since when is science ever really settled? It's always evolving, it's always challenging. Again, the point is there should always be a debate, always a conversation. But again, knowledge is power, and when you give too much power to the people, they go mad. Again, to quote a very wise man, when you cut out the tongue of a man, you don't prove him a liar, you only prove that you fear what they have to say. They are showing their fear, they're showing their card, but problem is they do have a lot of sway. Hopefully Spotify doesn't act on this, and we'll see where we go, but it's great to see so many people waking up. I just wanted to share this video and or this information with you. Hope take it as you want. This is Bruce the Boss, and I'm out.